Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classics slash Non-Classic. This is episode number 970 and Doubleshot number 864. Cut due to two DC trades. First one, believe it or not, only came out just a few years ago. This is Arrow Season 2.5. This collects the entire 12-issue comic, written by Mark Guggenheim, who writes the first arc in here and the third arc. The middle arc is not done by him, surprise. Actually, he does do pretty much the whole series, but he has a different co-writer. He has Brad Sullivan on the first book and the second and third book. For the second book, it's basically stories with Kaito Suzuko. The first story is called Blood. With this particular story, it basically reveals that there's another Sebastian Blood who pops up, and it's somebody who worked for Sebastian Blood. They show a flashback to his death. Now, in the show, he was killed by Isabel Rochef. And of course, thanks to the storyline, we also get the debut of Green Arrow's new costume, a costume he actually used throughout the rest of this series and pretty much into season 3. Yep. And let's see what else. Oh yeah, I forgot the artist working on this. Like boatload of art of this one. But the first book, you have Joe Bennett, Craig Young. I keep finding Joe Bennett in a lot of books I basically read. Craig Young, Jack Jensen, Neil Edwards, Benny Lebo, Angel Hernandez, Rod Reyes, and Elena Cascade. The second story basically is done by Simon Koretsky, and the last one is done by Craig Young. Well, Craig Young does the inking, with Joe Bennett on the artwork. Let's see. Aside from, debut Green Arrow's new costume, let's see. I think there's like one other thing in here. Let's see. Yeah. Oh yeah, we also see the guy who later become the second Count Vertigo. He pops up in here as well. Yep. They also talk about, Diggle getting masked, which he does get that eventually. Yeah, though people have criticized, they call it Dignito. We also see the return of the Huntress. Yeah, she appears in this one story arc, and yeah, this is her only appearance since then. We also see appearance by Sarah Lenz, who helps out in the story. Yeah. Before I continue, I gotta at least reveal exactly why. Here's kind of the rumor of why Huntress was not featured in the show after season 2. There was a rumor going around that she was one people considered to be chosen, one people basically up for being cast to play Jessica Jones. That's the rumor I heard, but she could have something else. But I haven't seen her in anything outside the show. Yeah, she basically gets released from prison briefly, and then she goes back to prison, and then she's never heard from again. Oh yeah, we also have Lila appears in here, basically very pregnant. Yeah, it's an interesting little story. Basically, the guy does die by, Roy killing him via self-defense. And Huntress points out, though, yeah, you killed hundreds of people, and I killed 5 people, Roy killed 1. So, and of course, he also mentions, though, that he doesn't kill anyone. It's okay. Okay, what about the Count? That was different. And here's the thing, after he kills the Count in the show, I haven't watched the rest of season 6. I'm like halfway through. I never got a chance to finish it. I haven't watched season 7 yet. But in the next season 3, he only kills one person. That's Damien Dark. That's the only person he kills the entire season. And he also kills, in the following season, Damien Dark. He killed Roz by stabbing him with a sword. He killed Damien by stabbing with an arrow. Yep. The Suicide Squad story is quite odd. The group itself is basically your Suicide Squad father. Basically, you have Bronze Tiger, Deadshot. There's a couple others in here. You have one guy who was basically a former dictator of the country. Let's see if I can find it here. We also have John Diggle, and that's really it. There's like no other member of the Suicide Squad appeared in here. Now, I at least gotta praise the fact they actually put the Suicide Squad in here. Now, they're fighting a version of Black Adam in this series. Now, this Black Adam, Kent Adam, does not get the powers of Shazam, and does not turn to frickin' Black Adam. He's just some random terrorist who pops up in here, who apparently kidnaps women, held some hostages in his camp, And eventually the guy is taken. Now, one of them does escape and ends up in Nana Parbat. Of course, we see Nessa Al Ghul pop up in here. And the person becomes Tabitha. I don't remember this character. I don't think this character appears in season 3 or not. I don't remember if she does or not. And then we have, like, Kentheim gets taken. And then he's killed off panel by this Tabitha by... It looks like she probably beheaded him with a sword. Yep. The last one, Green, which is the story that kind of leads into season 3. Yeah, but it does answer one question in this particular story. It does reveal what happened to Queen Manor, because the show did not bother to explain what the heck happened to this house. Because it's there for the first 2 seasons, and then, like, right after season 2, like, you watch the entirety of season 3, and there's no mention of the Queen Manor. What happened to it? The show never explains it. This comic does. What happened to it? It burnt down. And it was never rebuilt. Nope, never built. Yeah, apparently this is done by an old enemy who's enemy Oliver Queen, not Green Arrow. Well, the Arrow. He called himself at this point, he called himself the Arrow for the first 3 seasons of Arrow. Started season 4, called himself the Green Arrow. At one point, he takes Laura hostage, and of course, she rescues her, but basically loses his home in the process. There's also a scene that kind of leads into Sarah pop up in the premiere episode for season 3. Well, prior to that, she and Nessa had sex. Yep, they had sex. And she meets Malcolm Merlin for the first time. And we watched Legends of Tomorrow, like, how the heck did she know Malcolm Merlin? I mean, somebody probably mentioned, but they never met on screen. That's the weird thing about this. Is also, you also have in here glimpses basically Malcolm Merlin's up to with Thea, is that they're training in Kodomo Toys. Yeah, that's where they're training there. And we also have brief appearance by Deadshot pops up in here in the Blood story, because why not? And he does briefly escape, but he does get back into his cell. And apparently, I'm not sure why this is, but I think it's in this very season right here. When they have, I believe it's this season when you have them go back down to Detroit again. Though that's saying to Malcolm Merlin this time. Though apparently the show forgets to mention, yeah, not the first time he broke up his damn cell, though he was finally released from his cell at the end of season, toward the end of season 5. Of course, the guy going after Oliver Queen's name is Caleb Green. I think he dies in the story, he gets killed in the fire, and that's pretty much it. And they also, like, it says, like, Nick is coming back. Okay, when the heck did this happen? Because during season 2, he did own 50% of the company, despite the fact half was bought up by Izza Rochev. I would have thought, though, Izza Rochev dying, that means that the remaining stuff is basically either one, Oliver probably wrote in the contract that anything happens to her, I get full control of the company. Yep, but this story, the series, these issues are really good. This book, a 9.5 out of 10. There's also a joke in here about the boxing arrow. Now, the book does not explain why in the world, at the start of season 3 of the show, that Queen Gonzalez put for sale at the start of season 3. The show doesn't bother to explain why this is. This comic doesn't explain why that is. I mean, the only answers we get here is basically when Oliver got his freaking costume and what happened to Queen Manor. Oh yeah, we also get explanation of why Bronze Tiger's on the show for season 2. I'm not sure why Michael J. White couldn't come back to the show. I mean, yeah, this book does kill him off. This book is canon, despite the fact that, well, here's kind of the dumb thing about this comic. It's never referenced in the whole show. And I at least gotta praise the artist on here. Now, the artist who draws Oliver does an okay job drawing him. Yeah. But the way he draws Oliver Queen, make him look like he has a regular full beard, as opposed to the show. The way he draws Roy Harper, Felicity, and Diggle, they're pretty much spot on to how the actors depict them on the show. I at least gotta praise the artist for that. It's like, they did an okay job with Green Arrow. And I do recommend this for people who actually do like Arrow. Mainly people who did like the second season. Basically, this comic kind of fills in the gap between seasons 2 and 3. I'm kind of surprised that they never did. Now, the only Arrow comic now, this is not the first Arrow comic book. No, they did have one comic before this that took place during season 1 that kind of filled in the gap between episodes. That's pretty much the whole point of that comic. And there were two others. You have Flash Season 0. It's implied to take place during the season, but this comic is not totally canon. There's also, of course, I mentioned Supergirl that takes place in the canon of the show. And the Malcolm Merlin comic written by John Bowerman. And that's it. As far as I know, Legend of Tomorrow's never had a comic. Not that I can think of, no. In the case of seasons, they could do something like this again. Besides between seasons, I think the reason for season 2 they did because, 2 is very popular, people. I would not recommend doing for 3 because, 3.5. Here's my reason why I think that DC probably would not do it. Because 3 for a lot of people was not a very popular season. For a lot of people also they consider to be the worst season of the whole show, which I do kind of agree with that. Between 4 and 5, yeah, you can kind of get away with it because 4, in my honest opinion, was basically trying to fix a lot of the stupid stuff that happened toward the second half of season 3. And it was basically show's redemption. And I could definitely see him doing it between seasons 4 and 5 and 5 and 6. I could definitely see him do a comic that fills in the gap between those seasons. And the rest of the seasons of the show. I wouldn't mind seeing that. In the case between seasons 6 and 7, man, that's a possibility. We can have basically, I've heard basically right in line with what happened in the end of season 6. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm not sure what happened in season 6 of Arrow, but I could possibly see it. Of course, in the case between seasons 5 and 6, it could explain of how that the character Wild Dog got his new costume. But I do heavily disagree with basically what they did with Vigilante in the show by revealing to be a character who was seen killed and then give him a healing factor, so it was really stupid. Alright. Let's move on to something that's not Green Arrow. Let's move on to Stormwatch Volume 2, Enemies of Earth. This contains issues 7 to 12 of Stormwatch Volume 3 and Red Lantern's number 10. When I saw them, okay, why the heck is Red Lantern crossed with Stormwatch? There kind of is a reason for that. It's actually up really early on. Which at least gotta praise the fact when they did, because a lot of the time when they did these crossovers, they can completely out of nowhere. Of course, they had Firestar crossover just like International. They also had Suicide Squad crossover with Resurrection Man. A lot of these books basically have bizarre ideas for crossovers. This one, the crossover with this one stems from the fact that the Stormwatch fought a Red Lantern on Earth in the UK, captured him, and somehow Atrocitus, along with Daxstar, tracked him to Earth, and that's they got him there. Now there are two writers in these issues, basically Paul Jenkins, who does the first couple issues in here, and eventually is taken over by Peter Mulligan, who does it for, up until issue 18. Peter Mulligan's a fantastic writer. Yep, we also have Jenny Quinn becoming a member of the team, and in issue 12 we have Martian Manhunter leave the team. Now, as for why, he just basically wanted to do his own thing, and it was racing memories of everybody on the team of him leaving the team, him being on the team. Well, basically, memories of them in their heads. And apparently the Shadow Lords apparently have a role that no one is allowed to leave Stormwatch, and he figured though because of what he did, they should make an exception, and they do. But he has a price. Make sure Stormwatch, and they don't say it here, but my guess is the deal was that he can leave Stormwatch, but make sure Stormwatch activities remain secret. Nobody knows about it. That could kind of explain why he shows up in the next set of issues. Yep. But this is pretty good for what it is, and I still got one more trailer to go over that talk about when it comes to this volume of Stormwatch. I'm gonna give this book roughly a 9 out of 10. Now, the weird thing about Martian Manhunter when he was part of this book, and here's my personal thing of why he was added to the book, despite the fact not a lot of people were familiar with Stormwatch, because there are people who are fans of Martian Manhunter, and people will buy any book he's on. My guess is he's probably there for a marketing strategy that once left the team, that probably also caused sales to slip with the series. Yes, that's my personal opinion, that sales started to slip after he was removed from the roster. As for why he was removed from the roster, my guess is DC probably did not get the sales they wanted for the book, so either that or they probably wanted the book to stand on their own. I'm not really sure what the reason was. If I could just pay Perry Mulligan, I probably would ask him, like, why did he have Marsh Randall lead the team? Yeah. But yeah, that's really it for this particular review. Oh yeah, I almost forgot the artist on here. Bunch of artists. You have Encan Carcio, Daniel Hoare, Sean Pearsons, Julio Ferreira, Miguel Sevilla, Mark Irwin, Andrew Peepoy. That's really his last name. Sal Regalia, Weldon Wong, Edward Felicia, Edward Ferreira, Rob Hunter, and Will Conrad. Yep. There's stuff also going here with the engineer as well, which is a minor thing. And there's also in here the start of the relationship between Apollo and Midnighter in this continuity, despite the fact in the previous continuity, these two actually fell in love, got married, and adopted a girl, basically Jenny Quintum. Not the engineer. No, it's not the engineer. It's somebody. It was Jenny Quintum who became a member of Stormwatch, who basically stayed with Stormwatch up until the final issue. And here's kind of the weird thing about Stormwatch. With the exception of Apollo and Midnighter, the group himself basically is referenced a couple times, but the group has never returned after the end of the series. I've not heard any signs of the book's return. Not that I've heard. I did hear something that Wildcat's come back in the August list, which that should be pretty interesting to look forward to. So yeah, that's it for this particular review. I was planning to do 2 more reviews, but I'm basically out of time. So 3 videos tomorrow: Attack on Titan, Boruto, and a Comic Corner. Okay, but do you see you next view. Bye.